Okay, boys and girls, today we're going to learn how to make our very own fish wall hanging. And here's an example that I just made, and he's going to be sitting for a couple of days to air dry. So we're using air dry clay for this project, but we can use the other clay that we can put into the kiln as well. But today we're going to use this. I'm going to put him to the side. You can see I've got a piece of newspaper. That's how we're going to curl his body at the very end. So I'm just going to make sure that he's safe. I'm going to give you a ball of clay and a rolling pin. So you need to make sure that you roll your clay out on the brown paper so it doesn't stick to the desk. I find it's easy to put my hand in the center of the rolling pin and apply pressure and keep turning my clay. I don't want to roll it so it's really thin. I want it to be so it's like a slab that is probably about that thick, okay? And you want it wide enough to actually take the fish template. And this is what I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to give you one of these. And when I set it on there, I know that this template's a little bit too big, so I need to really roll out a little bit larger. So you can test it, always move it around, make sure it doesn't stick to the paper as well. And still need a little bit more. And there, I can move the template around until I get it fitting in place. Next thing, I'm going to get myself a clay tool. Either one of these would work. This is the sharp point, or this one. I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to trace around the template so you don't have to worry that you don't know how to draw a fish, because it's all done for you. And I'm just going to go around and take that shape. So follow it nice and neatly, take your time. Now all the remnants of the clay that's left behind we're going to use to add for detail. So once I get round this tail here, lift it up, there you can see my shape now. I'll just pull this away. This is what I'm going to use. I'm also going to give you a textured roller. So let me just put the fish so you can see it in better perspective. There we are. Now I've got it cut out, you're going to have some water on your table, and just wet your fingers and go around the edge. So where you cut with the clay tool, you'll find that you've got a jagged edge, because when it air dries, or even if it went into the kiln, you're using the same process. Always smooth down those hard edges, because when they do dry, you can't smooth them down, they can be quite jaggy. Alright, you don't need to flood it, just nice and carefully. Alright, so I've got that done. Next thing. With my roller, and I've got lots of textures, the first one that I showed you had wavy lines. This one's got bubbly dots. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure and roller it on top of the clay. Now you can see this one has bubbles. So you can see here, and I'm going to put a variety out on the tables for you to see. And I'll just show you the one that had the waves. This one here has got the waves. Now I've got that done, I'm going to get my remnants. Now what I'd like to do is first cut out a little mouth. I'm just going to take my tool, I'm going to draw a line, and then another line, widen it, and take that little piece out. Same thing, I'm going to get my finger and just smooth those jaggy edges. Just make sure I get that little bit out there, but nice and smooth. Okay? I'm going to get another piece, just a small piece. This is how I'd like to do my eye. And you could cut an eye out so it's completely hollow, or you could do what I'm doing here, just get a small piece of clay, make a ball, and because it's air dry, you can dip it into the water and then very carefully add a bit of pressure, push it down. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you how I do it when I use the other clay that we put into the kiln. And with my tool, we do what's called a scratch and attach. Any piece of clay that you attach to another piece of clay, we make sure that they're attached by scratching it along the sides. So I want you to do the same as well. You can get your finger and just smooth away any area that looks like it's a little bit rough, and I'm going to make sure that he's attached. Next thing, I can either draw a circle for an eyeball, or I could even hollow it out and take that little piece out and then smooth down There's other ways of making eyes. You could actually make a worm, and you could curl the worm so it looks like a spiral eye, like that. So if I remove that one, because this one's similar to what I already made, it's already stuck, dip it in the water and do a spiral eye. So you can see the differences. We can play around with the different eyes techniques, and I'll give you some examples. So I'm going to make sure that this one's nicely scratched and attached, and I'm going to make the eye opening a little bit wider. So I'm using my tools. There we are, like that one. Now I want to make a fin. So I'm going to get another piece of clay, roll it into a ball, and let me just move this across a little bit so you can see. Make a little ball, you can roll it on the table or in your hands, and then just pat a cake it down, so like a cookie shape. And how I'd like to make my fin is I'm just going to cut a curved line and a curved line like that. And then I've got a fin, do you see? I'm going to use the wavy textured roller, so it's different from his body. That's what I did on the other one. I'm going to make sure I put some water on the back, because with air dry, water acts like a glue with this clay. So I'm going to make sure, add some water, decide where I want to put my fin. I want to put him there, and just as I'm using clay that I'd use in the kiln, I'm just going to do the same thing. I just want to make sure that none of this actually falls off, so I'm very carefully just scratching and attaching around the edges. Okay, smoothing it down with my finger. And I've got little bits of clay left over, lots of clay, and I'm going to make a worm. I'm rolling the worm, you can roll it on the table, just a fine worm. I'm going to give him some puckery lips, so I'm going to dip that in the water again and pop some lips on. Use my tool, nip off what I don't want, any excess, and press it down so I get a firm press, so I know it's going to stick. And I'm going to use the other piece like that, and then I'm going to model it a little bit better now that it's on there. Use my tool, smooth it down around the edges, use my wet finger, make it nice and smooth. Okay, and then you can add any other features that you'd like to. If you want to add some fin details or a gill, again, I'm just making another worm. I'm going to add a gill and a gill, so that add some fun features. Okay, smooth it down. Last thing, when you've got all the information that you want, all the texture and all the details, just very carefully, just lift him up, put your initials. I'm going to put mine, LD, so you know it belongs to you, or a symbol that you can recognize it. Get some newspaper, roll the newspaper up into a ball. Okay, you only need one small sheet. Lift up your fish and tuck it underneath the center of the body, and then shape the body. Okay, and while you've got it like that, then you can get your straw, and not so high up but further down, just push the straw through and then out again, because when you've got it curved like this, then you know where you'd want to have your hole so that you can hang it. We'll have some really pretty decorative string to do that. And there you go, boys and girls. Now you've made yourself a wall hanging fish, and it's going to belly out, and we're going to hand paint it when it air dries. So there you go. Now it's your turn. Let's go and make some art.